Now then, so I'm Liam from Ambic Manufacturing. A lot of people know me from Ambic Manufacturing at least, and others might know me from doing a little bit of drifting for PH Drift. Another driver for PH Drift, but more excitingly, a member of staff for Ambic Manufacturing also is Jack Bennet. Jack Bennett is one half of the Team Bennett drifting team, father and son drifting team, and this year has stepped up a notch.
Just a little bit.
Should we call it that? So Jack has jumped from class 2, well no actually you were doing Drift Pro last year,
Yeah.
And then this year has basically taken the reins of his dad's vehicle. We'll talk through that in a little bit because it is a big jump up in terms of performance, and you'll hear from Jack about some of those performance upgrades, etc. Bit of a beast, wasn't it?
Yeah, just a little bit.
What a fantastic weekend though. The weather was phenomenal. You can probably tell by my little bit of sunburn there, sitting on the bank videoing Jack. I had the pleasure of joining Jack and Michael and the rest of the team and the family down there supporting Jack. It was fantastic, and to see him jump into a car that he'd not driven before to then put on the show that he did was phenomenal. Was absolutely phenomenal. So start with a Thursday. Let's start with a Thursday because that's where the weekend started. Let's be honest.
Yeah, realistically.
So talk us through that, Jack.
Well, so what was it? Thursday. I think I left here straight down to the garage. Just sorting bits out on the cars, just getting the final few touches done, and then we got the call that Martin was ready for the car to come down. So we had a 4-hour drive ahead of him.
4-hour drive down to Motion Auto Works and Martin Batty.
Yeah, so we did that. Got down there, waited for him to finish off a few cars, and then we went on to the rollers and just got the engine warmed up, got it bedded in, then just did a few pulls. Came out with a pretty decent amount of power.
I mean, it's not a bad amount of power at all. So it's running meth now.
Yeah, it's on a 60-40 meth mix with V-power.
So this is an E46, basically a race car. It's running a 2JZ
Yeah.
with a Borg turbo,
Yeah.
1600cc Bosch injectors. So big boy injectors, but you've got to run the bigger injectors for the meth because the meth is pre-mixed in the fuel.
Yes.
And what else is there? It's running a sequential box. You know which sequential box is running?
It's running a Samsung sequential box and then a Winter's diff as well.
So it's pretty much about as modified as you can get.
It's got a few little bits up there.
A few tricks up its sleeve. Fantastic looking car. Obviously Ambic on the side of the car, which we at Ambic are massively excited about, to get behind Jack and support Jack as much as we can on the main stage effectively for this year.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Because I know MS UK Pro, where you competed last year, are doing a slightly different toned down approach, some drift trains and a couple of competitions. But Drift League seems to be where it's at this year. The standard of drivers was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. So I accompanied Jack and Michael down there. I actually took Michael's car, so Michael's took a bit of a step down this year. He's running, so Michael, as I mentioned earlier, is Jack's dad. He's running a V8, it's a 4.4 litre V8. I don't know the engine code.
M62?
M62, possibly, I think that might be what it is. And that's in an E36, which has got a wide body kit on, painted, some M3 blue. I can't remember what he said.
Blue,
Yeah, so Lugan, okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, so, I mean, that looks fantastic. Michael drove pretty well all weekend, to be honest.
Yeah.
But he'd had a bit of experience in that car through Anglesey and a couple of other bits and pieces. For you jumping straight in the car, Saturday, had, what was it, 45 minutes?
45 minutes, so I think I got 4 laps.
4 laps. And not only that, I think one of the things that I'm going to highlight to a lot of people who were watching it is how many variables there were. So not only did Jack have to jump in a car that he's never driven before, we started off on, what was the tyres you started off on? It was Zestinos.
Zestino hards.
So Zestino hards to start with. So bear in mind, all of his practice on the Saturday was on Zestino hards. We had Westlakes, but not enough to do the full competition. But the Westlakes are a lot more grippy once you get heat into them.
Yes, yeah.
So the cars running Westlakes generally run a little bit faster, which means in battles you kind of need to run your grippier tyre. The tyre pressures were up and down like
all day,
like yo-yos, trying to work out what tyre pressure to run while you're still getting used to the car. Had you driven that particular layout before? At Three Sisters?
Once before in BDC.
Okay.
So, good few years ago now though.
So a little while ago, because the last time you did it was a slightly different layout, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So all of those variables to jump in the car, to have 45 minutes on the Saturday, and then basically straight in the hot seat on Sunday.
pretty much what we get. I think 2 hours practice on Sunday, so I got a few more than 4 laps, but not much more. But yeah,
I think
playing with the tyres and then the pressures, see what works. So, you learn as you go.
You absolutely do. I mean, qualifying went pretty well. I'll be pretty pleased with the way qualifying went. I mean, personally, obviously, I wouldn't want to be a judge, but I personally thought your second run was better than your first run. I think it got scored slightly less because the scores didn't change, which I'm assuming means it scored less. But both qualifying runs were pretty good. You can't really grumble with the fact that you'd not had much practice. And then the battles. Want to talk us through your battles?
Who did I have first?
It was the battle of the highlighter pens. It was the orange versus the yellow highlighter pen in my eyes.
I can't remember his name.
So it's the S15. I can't remember his name either, but
XBDC champion though.
Right. Okay.
Hadn't driven for a few years. I think it was his first competition in 8 years.
So I think they said 10. I think
10.
They either said, "Oh no, it might have been 8 years. It might have been the last time he was in a battle. You were 10." I think that might have been actually what was said on the microphone, which is pretty phenomenal. But yeah, so talk us through your first battle then. How did it go in your eyes?
I thought it went quite well. I was still getting the grips with the car, obviously, not as many laps as I'd liked, but still getting the grips with it and just playing around. Just trying my best to keep up and give him a good line for him to follow. I think there was a little bit where I smoked him out and he got a little bit lost, but
I mean, there was a lot of smoke coming off the back of that car. You couldn't really see a great deal afterwards, but yeah, that was pretty good. And then, so that got you into the top 16?
Top 16, yeah.
And then in the top 16...
I had Petrus and his E30, V8 Turbo E30.
Yeah.
Quick car, very quick car.
It is, and it sounded pretty nuts as well.
Yeah.
So the battle of the V8 versus the 2J.
Yeah.
Battle of the Titans.
What was that one? I think I was getting a bit more aggressive as the battles went on. So
that's one way to put it.
so I was getting a bit closer, making more dives, but again, just trying to put down as solid as a lead I could, close to the 100-point run. Just make it easy enough for him to follow and put in a good chase. But I took the win on that one as well.
You did, you absolutely did, which put you into the top 8.
Top 8 with Chrissy Nayland.
With Chrissy Nayland, who's also I mean, they're all fantastic drivers. The standard of driving in Class 1 was actually pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because you generally do get a bit of a range, even in Class 1, Class 2.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people said Class 2 is going to be probably the most difficult class because of a lot of Class 1, ex-Class 1 drivers dropping down into Class 2.
Yeah.
For the benefit of people watching this who don't know the difference, Class 1 and Class 2, the only difference really is the tyres. It's not, don't get me wrong. The cars in Class 1 are much bigger beasts. Generally they're much bigger beasts. But you have to have the extra horsepower, you have to have all the mods and the whistles to be able to extract the most out of the tyre. Because there was some people who were running, not standard cars, but they were running just high horsepower but with a standard rear end, standard H-pattern shifters, and they were doing still pretty well. But I think that with a Class 2 being limited to road tyres, clearly the amount of smoke you see first and foremost is a lot less because you haven't got as much grip, and the speed's a lot less because you haven't got the grip. A lot of people think with drifting you want it to be as slippery as possible so the rain's better. It's not really, if anything, it's great for the drivers because it basically makes it, well, it means that the underdogs can do really well. If they're a really good driver but they're limited by the car that they have, it sort of levels the playing field a little bit, doesn't it?
100%.
But yeah, on the whole, so the Class 1 runner semi-slick, is it up to 265?
265 max width. I think that's the only limitation, to be honest.
Is it?
I think the rest is just free for all.
Free for all. As much horsepower as you can possibly afford. But yeah, no, so it went up against Chrissy, and you put in a fantastic battle against Chrissy, which got you into the top 4.
Yes, it did, with Harry Kerr.
With Harry Kerr.
That was nerve-wracking to say. What is he? He's an international, just an international driver. I think he just got back from Oman, hadn't he?
I think so, yeah. So this is a chap from Ireland. Irish drivers have a bit of a reputation anyway for being quite aggressive, don't they? And pretty good on the drift circuit, let's say that. I think everyone had him earmarked for
a podium.
Let's be honest. And I think watching him from early on, he was on the money. All day he was 100%. On the money. Fantastic driver. So you got him in the top 4 battle.
top 4.
So talk us through your battle with Harry.
Well, I mean, to be honest, he was one of the only drivers I felt like left us. He was just so quick. I kept up with him a bit for the first half, mirroring what he was doing, but then once we got on to Luna and that big sweeper, he just left. Just gone.
Yeah. So I think on that one, we mentioned earlier about a lot of variables, tyre pressures being one.
Yeah.
We didn't actually think so. Michael was spotting on the bank, and we thought he had somebody else.
Yeah.
You went out with 20 psi in the tyres. And I think the one thing Michael had sort of said was, had he known you were against Harry, because of the pace difference with Harry and a lot of the other drivers, he would have dropped that pressure a little bit more. So what happened was, you went out with 20 psi.
Yeah.
I think, and I don't know how true this is, I've just been told, so it could be a rumour, but hopefully it's the right sort of number. Harry was running 12 psi. Now the lower the psi, the more grip. As low as you can go without debeating, really, isn't it? Especially with Luna, which was the big sweeping back end corner. And that's where you could see where the grip made a huge difference, to be honest. And then that meant, so your final battle for third or fourth position, we then dropped the pressers.
dropped them to 16
psi.
16 psi, and then put it up to map 3, so we got even more power out of it, so be even faster.
Another variable which we didn't mention before, so you're up to map 3, which was, what sort of horsepower do you think map 3 is?
It's probably knocking on 8.
Knocking on 800 horsepower. Well, that's on a, as Greg calls it, I love this one, it's a heartbreaker dyno, isn't it? Martin Batty's dyno and Jordan's dyno, Motion Automotive. So generally what they say is, if it comes out that on their dyno, it would probably be a little bit higher there, but it's not pub numbers we're after here, it's literally performance is what we want, isn't it? Hence the reason why you went with the meth, because the engine blew up previously, and it was potentially down to the octane of the fuel, so a bad batch of V-power, so we wanted to try and mitigate any risks.
Yeah, I think the meth brings it up to 140, 150 RON, so you're pretty safe no matter what you put in.
Yeah, even if you get a bad batch with a meth, I think you're still running like 120, 130 minimum, aren't you? Which is pretty nuts. So yeah, then your third and fourth battle, you decided to just wipe someone else,
just take them off track.
Yeah, I think the extra grip did give you a lot more pace.
I didn't realise how much 4 psi I could do.
Yeah.
Honestly, I nearly hit him on clip 2, so I had to slam on the brakes, and then I created a gap. So I just put my foot down to catch up to him, and I caught up to him.
Yeah. I mean, the way the judges saw it was you were going too fast to the point where you hit him. I mean, I think where the judges were located as well is probably what they saw.
Yeah.
I think looking back through the footage, it did look to me like he dropped 2 wheels. But
I think he was just about to, as I hit him.
Okay.
So, yeah, mostly my fault.
Yeah, but you knocked him into next week. Either way.
Yeah.
So no, a phenomenal weekend. I mean, you were pretty disappointed when I spoke to you on Sunday. Now that it's sank in, are you a bit happier with the performance?
Yeah.
Obviously, you're always going to sit there and think, I could have done better. Because that's the whole point of this, isn't it? You wouldn't be in motorsport if you weren't going to push for podiums and push for wins. Like, at the end of the day, that's what you want. But I think, personally, you cannot be disappointed with a 4th place finish with a driver lineup you were against in the first time in the car.
Like, considering all that, it is pretty good. But, I'll always be disappointed without a podium. But that's just what you've got to strive for.
Yeah, absolutely. Because amongst all of this as well, you didn't have enough tyres, did you?
No. I would go running around the pits buying tyres off people.
So we had Michael Bennett. Basically, I don't know the chap's name, who was next door in the pits, who went home. He gave you a pair of tyres. Well, actually, it was 3 tyres, but I think your dad said he had an extra one in the garage, which is why I bought 3. Yeah, and then Matt Smith, I think, because he went out of the battles against his own his own team, Martin Wanacott. So he when he finished in the battles, you managed to sneak some tyres off Matt. We'll have to bring them to the next round. So what was your standout moment? What was your highlight from the weekend? What did you enjoy the most?
Honestly, probably being able to drive with Harry Kerr.
That's pretty phenomenal.
Like, it's not often you get to drive with an international driver of that calibre.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't complain. Losing him.
On that note as well, it was pretty cool to see the full pit. I mean, you wouldn't have seen it. You might have seen it back if you've looked back at any videos or photos. But when you were sat and he called the 5-minute rule, there must have been 100 people crowded around the car trying to fix it. I know Tony Cunliffe,
yes.
Harry's dad, was there with a grinder trying to modify to make something fit because we didn't have the right parts. I think it was a steering arm from
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's what he managed to banana it in the burnout box. But yeah, it was really cool. It just shows with drifting as well. It's a different type of person. Everyone jumps around. Everyone helps each other to get each other back on track. I think it had only been a couple of battles prior where Harry himself was due to go out to battle, and he jumped on, and I think he was helping either Martin Wanacott or Matt Smith, one of the Betty Surf Shop teams, and he had his gloves on, he was there mucking away, got their car fixed for them, jumped in his car, went out and battled, and then came back in. So it just shows the type of people you're dealing with, which is really nice, isn't it?
Yeah, like no matter who you are, everyone will come and help you if you've got a problem. I mean, I had overheating issues just after a battle, and I think we had probably about 10 people like going around the car with leaf blowers trying to cool it down.
You did. You had leaf blowers in there, pouring water on it.
Yeah, throwing water bottles over it.
Yeah, no, it was pretty good. So next up is Driftland.
Yes.
That's round 2. So what's the plan? What's the target? Let's put some pressure on you here.
Well, first place.
So we're going for first.
Yeah.
That's what we're going for. I mean, you had it in you. The car definitely has it in it.
Yeah.
And your aggression, like you say, was getting to the point where you were extracting a lot more from the car. You could kind of see, I mean, looking back through the footage from the start of the day to the end, the start of the weekend to the end of the weekend, It was like you were two different drivers. And if you can make that sort of progress in one weekend, I can only imagine what it'll be like before Driftland. So is there plans are you driving with the PH Drift team next Sunday? On Sunday coming, this Sunday, Darlington?
I think I might be. The jersey's definitely going down for to be on display.
Yeah.
There's 50-50 if I'm driving.
You might have some half finished tyres you could finish off there maybe.
Might be.
I think that's the main thing in it. Let's get some seat time in that car now as much
100%.
as possible. Not that it's cheap to run or cheap to put tyres on, but yeah, and then let's go for it for next season.
Yeah.
No, well done. I was mega proud. It was really cool. Again, it was really cool to see Ambic obviously on the side of a Class 1 car. It's not an opportunity you get very often, so that was pretty cool. So the man to watch, obviously follow Team Bennett Drifting. Follow Jack specifically. I think I can never find you when I'm tagging you, but it's at J4, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then Bennett, Jack Bennett, but with a 4. So follow Jack, follow his progress. Obviously follow Ambic. Ambic will be keeping a close eye on how Jack does this season, as well as we've got a few other sponsored drivers we've got out there doing a few different bits and pieces, mostly demo work. It's only really Jack that's jumping into the competitive scene, apart from V's doing a couple of bits and pieces. I'm not planning to do anything competitive potentially this year. We will see about next year, but demos and things like that, the Z4 will be out. So if you're at any events, either me, Jack, or any of the drivers, give them a wave, come and say hello. We'll look forward to seeing you on track.
See you then.
Nice one.